And now, ladies and gentlemen, for our next panel this morning, the West Virginia Opportunity. It is my honor to introduce Stephanie Fertig, Director of the National Institutes of Health Small Business Program, Kelsey Staggers, Business Development Manager of the West Virginia Division of Economic Development, and Ruthana Beezley, Executive Director of the Greenbrier Valley Economic Development Corporation. Stephanie, you will be the first presenter.
Good morning, everyone. It's great to see everyone here today, and I'm a stander. I hope that's all right. And we had some great presentations earlier, so hopefully I'll keep that momentum going. I think this is one of the few conferences and meetings I've ever been at that are running early. Like, that never happens. So let me try to keep us in that vein and in that spirit. And today I want to talk to you about how you can support small businesses with a grant from the National Institutes of Health. I'm not going to be able to cover all the nuances of a federal program in the time I was allotted. There's hour-long webinars on that, but I'd encourage you to go take a look at our website. That's seed.nih.gov, seed like the plant, .nih.gov. It's a wealth of information, including some of the specifics for the programs that I'm going to talk about today. We use the small business program at the National Institutes of Health to really help us meet our mission, which can be encapsulated as turning discoveries into health. We're here to take those great innovations across the country and help get them into the hands of the patients, clinicians, caregivers, and researchers that need them. Now, these are congressionally mandated programs, and I love that the panel before me talked a little bit about them. So these are congressionally mandated programs. Here at the National Institutes of Health, it's about $1.4 billion specifically set aside for small businesses. We are one of the largest sources of early stage capital for life sciences in the United States. Now, there are two programs, that's Small Business Innovation Research, SBIR, and the Small Business Technology Transfer, or STTR programs. So these are two distinctive programs. They are specifically to allow small businesses to do research and development that have that potential for commercialization. Now, there are two programs, and they are two distinctive programs. The big difference between the two, SBIR permits partnering, STTR requires partnering with a nonprofit research institution, such as a university. Regardless, the award is always made to the small business, and there are some policy differences. They're on the slide, but to be perfectly honest, that is the big difference. In an STTR, you're partnering with an academic or nonprofit research institution, and that really kind of falls out some of those policy differences that you see here. So what are the benefits? Why should you come to the NIH, do the paperwork necessary, do that process? Well, we're non-dilutive capital. We're not going to make you pay it back. It's not a loan. We're not taking a piece of the company. And really, our awardees can leverage that funding, de-risk their technologies, and be able to get to the point of an investor or partner, or in some cases, the marketplace. So we're really in that early seed stage funding, thus the whole seed at .nih.gov. We've had a number of companies that have done this. I'm pointing out on our success stories page our West Virginia example. I would love to see more West Virginia examples on our success story webpage. But what you'll see there is the wide depth and breadth of the different kinds of technologies that we support. You'll see things like what you would expect from NIH, devices, drugs, biologics, software tools, research tools, virtual reality, and there's even a bike helmet. Prevents traumatic brain injury. We fund all sorts of different technologies. We have 24 different institutes and centers. I have a back table that has points of contact for each of those different 24 institutes and centers, as well as my point of contact and information about the program. But as I said, our website is the great place to get that information, and front and center you see our open funding opportunities. Now, the majority of our funding goes to what I call investigator-initiated grant applications. So these are applications where you are coming and telling us, look, I have identified a problem that's out there in the community, and I have a great solution for that problem. We have standard receipt dates throughout the year. The next one's September 5th, which is pretty much right around the corner. Not sure quite how that happened this year. The year is flying by. But we do have 3 standard receipt dates a year. So when we're talking about those solicitations, what do we mean? You're going to hear them called notice of funding opportunities, solicitations. We have a number of different names for them. But these are opportunities where you can come and apply. We have general grant omnibus solicitations. These are what we call our parent solicitations. Again, those investigator-initiated grant applications. 75% or more of the grants that we support come in through those, not through the targeted solicitations. I'd encourage you to read the program descriptions, read the information, read the NOFOs. Basically, read those notice of funding opportunities very, very carefully. I know they're long, but they have all the components you need to apply, and they have really important information about budgets and what we might be interested in. We also have targeted solicitations. If you're a new entrepreneur, we actually have a targeted solicitation, a transition grant for new entrepreneurs. So we have those targeted solicitations as well. But again, don't panic if you don't see one that matches what you're doing. That's why we have those broad open topic solicitations. This is a really complicated slide, and I know that. It's a complicated program a little bit. But why it's complicated is because it's flexible. So there's 3 different ways that you can enter the program. You can enter it as a standard phase 1, and this is a phased program, not related to clinical trials. It's an unfortunate similarity in the nomenclature. But there's a phase 1, that's a feasibility study, and then you can move on to a phase 2, more full research and development. We also have a fast track, allows you to combine the phase 1 and phase 2 into one application, and then the direct to phase 2. Regardless of how you get to that phase 2, we also have bridging programs to help get you to that commercial market, partner, or investor. Really, which entry you utilize depends a little bit on how much preliminary data you have, how far along you are, and this is where talking to a program officer can be really important. And one of the big mistakes that I see people make when they're new in the program is to think, I don't know if I want to bother them. It is our job. It is our job. You should be bothering us. Hopefully with some great, well-informed questions, but we'll take any questions. That is our job. If you're not sure which path, you can talk to a program officer and talk through it with them. We're also flexible with regards to budget. I have been getting a couple of questions, and the people I've talked to, how much money? There, you see it there. It's a little over $300,000 for a phase 1, a little over $2 million for a phase 2, but we do have flexibility. We recognize that some topics require more funding and more money and more time. I've also gotten a couple questions on how to get started, and I would say we do have a process online about how to apply, including resources on how to prepare your applications. Application instructions, an annotated form set, sample applications, and there are also state resources. I'm sure you're going to hear more about those as well. But I'd encourage you to take advantage of all of that, all of those application instructions and annotated form set. Look, I know the application instructions is a long document. I know, I've read it. I know how long it is. But the reason it's that long is it really does walk you step by step through the forms process. My most important piece of advice, and what I really hope everyone takes from here today, is the importance of talking to a program officer. And I encourage you, and I know September 5th is less than a month, but work with me here. Usually we do encourage people to talk to us at least a month ahead of time, and that's simply for scheduling purposes. We literally run out of hours in the day. When I was a program officer, and I was prior to my current role, I would run out of hours to schedule people to talk to. But I would still try to talk to everybody who wanted to talk to me, because it's so important when you have questions to make sure that you're not making a mistake. You're going into the right funding opportunity. You're putting the right information in your application. Now, I do have that list of program officers in the back, but that's also available online. If you're not sure who to contact, you can always email us, seedinfo@nih.gov. But we also have this great resource called NIH Reporter. See, what you might not realize is every application, every grant that we fund, the abstract and some basic information is available online. So not the full application, but that abstract is available online. So you can see the kinds of technologies and the things that we have funded previously. It's a great website and a great tool, and it's not just for small business grants. It also includes our other standard research grants as well. But small business is there, and if you look, so this is that web page, and right there in the corner that I've highlighted is our matchmaker. You can pop your abstract or your specific aims page into that matchmaker, and it will say, hey, here's which institute or center, here's what's like what you're proposing. Here's the same regions, the same kinds of research. So it's a great tool to see, one, who else is doing work in this area? And two, what institute or center am I likely to be assigned? So when you apply, you're applying to the NIH, but you're going to be assigned an institute or center in that scientific area to administer the grant, to help you through that process. Now, it is a competitive process, and I am not going to sit here and tell you it's not. It is very competitive. It does follow the process that we use for our other research grants. It goes through the Center for Scientific Review, and there are scored review criteria. And if you've done, oops, I'm going to go hit the button there. If you've done any kind of NIH grants before, what you'll see is you'll see these standard review criteria, and you might say, wait a minute, I've seen those before. And that is because those are the standard 5 review criteria. Except what you'll note is that they're a little bit different, because the small business program is focused on developing a product, commercialization. So we're interested in, hey, is it significant? Is there a real commercial potential here? Is this a real problem? For innovation, we're not interested maybe in the most innovative talk study you have. What we really want to know is, what's your competitive advantage? And so each application gets assigned 3 reviewers. There is a review panel that meets. But these 5 review criteria are in the notice of funding opportunity, and in that notice of funding opportunity are the questions that those reviewers are going to ask themselves about your application. That's the rubric, and it's there in the notice of funding opportunity, and a lot of people miss that. So I encourage you, when you're looking at a notice of funding opportunity, check out section 5. You'll actually see, what are you going to be scored on? Budget is not one of them, because we want to ask you to ask for the money that you need to do the project. Now, 50%, we get a lot of applications, as you can imagine. About 50% of the applications aren't discussed. That doesn't mean that reviewers didn't look at them. It means they were reviewed, they were considered in the bottom half. But don't worry. A lot of people get that and think, I should give up. Please don't do that. I've had many applications after getting the reviewer comments, revising and resubmit, get a great score, and move on to be funded. It's okay if you aren't successful the first time. And in fact, it's kind of part of our process. It is common to have that happen. Be prepared to revise and resubmit. Talk to a program officer, then revise and resubmit. You're supposed to, everybody in that reviewer comments, upper left-hand corner, you're going to get a program officer to talk to. Now, it's not just about the research and development dollars and the money. And so I'm going to kind of end talking about the other resources and other opportunities that are available once you're part of the program. We have technical and business assistance programs because we recognize a lot of our small businesses, brand new. This may be your first company, and that's okay. And I was just telling someone else, like, we fund about 1/3 of our companies have never received a small business grant before. Brand new. We have technical and business assistance. We have a needs assessment that assesses the commercial needs and looks and sees what are the gaps, what do you need to focus on, and helps determine what you might want to ask for in your phase 2 so that you can better make sure that you target and get the right technical and business assistance and ask for money in that phase 2, $50,000 in that phase 2 to make sure that you're moving towards commercialization. And we have other product development as well beyond that money. We have the I-Core program that helps companies look and develop a business model canvas. A similar program for medical devices, the C3I program. And then finally, we have entrepreneurs and residents on staff at NIH to provide consulting to recipients to help them, again, as they're moving down this product development pipeline. Because we're not the final purchasers of this technology. Again, we're here to help you. We're a seed fund. We're like a seed investor. We're here to help get you to the point where, again, you can go maybe to the marketplace, but in many cases to a partner or to another investor so that you can, again, get that great technology out there to solve that problem that you see. And so with that, I'm going to end and a little bit on time so we can keep these things moving. But I'd encourage you to reach out and talk with us. Again, I do have a table in the back. Please do pick up a couple of flyers if you're interested with this information. You can also see that we are online. We are on LinkedIn. Please do reach out to us. Also, you can subscribe on the webpage to our newsletter. We don't try to spam you, but we do have different opportunities, different events. You'll see information there as well. So with that, I want to thank you again for inviting me to West Virginia. It's been great, and I look forward to talking with you all.
Thank you. Ms. Kelsey Staggers.
All right. Hello. I'm Kelsey Staggers. I am a business traction manager with the West Virginia Division of Economic Development. And I'm going to walk you through the major functions of our office today and some of the resources we have to help companies. West Virginia Economic Development is comprised of 6 primary divisions: International Business and Industrial Development, Community Advancement and Development, the Small Business Development Center, our Office of Broadband, and our Office of Energy. What I'm going to speak mostly to today is our Business and Industrial Development section, where I sit, in our International Division. But we all work together to ensure sustainable growth throughout the state. The core of our work falls into these 5 categories. Location services. So we try to get to know as quickly as possible what a company needs as far as a site or building. After we identify some options for them, we serve as the main point of contact for them. We connect them with utilities, service providers, and they might need a permit, and we'll help them navigate that. And then when it comes to workforce training, we have a workforce training team that helps with recruitment. If a company needs specialized curriculum to build out their talent pipeline, they can engage with the local community or technical college. And they can also help them set up a formal apprenticeship program. The workforce team in our office administers the Governor's Guaranteed Workforce Program, which I'm going to touch on in the next slide. Financial assistance, we connect companies with what they need, whether that's traditional financing like a loan or something more patient like venture capital. Again, we meet them where they're at. We also walk them through any sort of statutory tax credits that they might be eligible for. Export assistance, that sits within our international team. They help West Virginia companies take their goods outside of the United States. They provide market research. They also lead export missions to other countries, so really great program. And then lastly, lifestyle assistance, so supporting that talent relocation and integration, which is really so important to our international investments. But we like to summarize this by saying we're the liaison to the state. So we are with companies every step of the way, and there's really no ask that's too big or too small. Dive in now a little bit to a couple resources we have in our office specifically. The Governor's Guaranteed Workforce Training Program that provides training assistance dollars to companies. This can be up to $2,000 per employee for training. This is an open enrollment program. The funds are renewed July 1st every year. It's first come, first serve. It's very popular. It's been a great tool to help companies really develop their talent and then maximize their savings at the same time. So we get a lot of great feedback from that. I think a lot of times when people hear economic development, they immediately go to incentives, and primarily what our office does is help companies go through their tax incentives. And we do this by creating a tailored proposal. It basically summarizes a company's statutory tax credits that they are eligible for. Just one example up here, the economic opportunity tax credit. That's one that offsets corporate net income tax, and the minimum threshold there is the creation of 10 jobs. But that's just one example of a whole arsenal of tax credits that we have available to work through. And we work really closely with our sister agencies, and these are state financing partners, the West Virginia Economic Development Authority and Jobs Investment Trust. The EDA is our traditional financing arm, so they do low-interest loans for fixed assets. They have a loan insurance program, and they do industrial development bonds. And then JIT is our early stage investment vehicle. They typically look at like Series A, seed investments. They also administer our state's SSBCI funds. So that is a federal program that the goal is to create more capital access for small businesses. So again, it's all about meeting companies where they're at and understanding what their needs are. So if this isn't a good fit for a company that we're working with, we're going to connect them to someone outside of our organization. So I thought I would kind of give you a glimpse of how we start working with companies. This is specifically with a startup lens, just because so much of what we see in the life science space tends to be early stage. And so to start every project, we have them fill out a project intake form. This allows us to very quickly understand where a company is at, what their needs are. We're going to look at the company's age, their expansion plan. We also lean really heavily on our Small Business Development Center because they are really well equipped to work with companies that are, brand new. They can look at pro formas, business plans. They can really bolster and add assistance to any of those areas of weakness. So we take a really good internal review when we're working with early stage companies. And then we kind of determine what a funding path could look like for them if that's what they're looking for. Unless they need some more technical assistance, we'll connect them elsewhere too. But yeah, we really like to take a bespoke look at things when we begin working with companies. And then because of all of these really great resources, incentives, and support services, we've had some really transformational wins all throughout the state. You'll recognize many of these companies up here, they're household names, but together they really represent the kind of growth and opportunity that we have here. In addition to domestic growth, we've seen significant investment from international companies. We have over 145 companies from 32 countries that call our state home, and they've created over 30,000 jobs. And when you think that about West Virginia only having a population of 1.8 million people, that's pretty significant. And these aren't one-time investments. These companies invest time after time. Toyota is a really great example of that. They've invested millions of dollars in West Virginia. Just as recent as April, they announced an $88 million expansion in their Buffalo plant. So again, these companies could be literally anywhere else in the world, but they chose West Virginia and they're happy here, and they continue to reinvest. Which brings us to our life science opportunities. So I think we've talked a lot about this already today. That we really do have a sort of momentum right now to kind of grow and expand the life science space. And when you look at the combination of our research institutions, our medical schools, established industry, our entrepreneurship ecosystem, which includes incubators and financing partners, it really is a compelling picture as a whole versus any one of these things on their own. So we are really trying to collectively frame West Virginia as a place to grow, invest, and innovate. But I think that the best way to understand our business climate is through what's already here. And I have a couple little testimonials that I wanted to share. The first is GATC Health. This is an AI drug development simulating company. So they're using software to simulate the human biology, and they're testing drug effectiveness, and it's cutting costs and speeding up discovery. And they point to our talented workforce and strong state support as key to their success. They're in Morgantown. And then Intermed Labs, so they are a medtech studio that started in Morgantown and has since grown to Huntington. And they credit West Virginia's resources and partnerships that's helping them thrive here. And these testimonials just highlight the strengths that set us apart from other states, which is our workforce, the supportive environment, and the partnerships that we have to sustain and grow. So that kind of gives you a rundown of what our office does, what we have to offer, how we're working with companies and marketing right now. So I've got a QR code up there that has our Meet the Team page and my contact information. I welcome anyone to reach out if they have any questions or there was a resource that jogged your interest today. I'm happy to discuss.
And now to finish the panel this morning, Ruthana Beezley.
Hi, good morning. On behalf of the Greenbrier Valley Economic Development Corporation, let me also welcome you again to the Greenbrier Valley. I'm so grateful to be a part of today. It's really been a great morning of great leaders and just very inspiring and a testament of what's possible. Thanks to Dr. Nimitz and his leadership team. not only for your continued investment in our community, but also for your larger vision, for your students, for the medical industry, and for the entire Greenbrier Valley. We appreciate your partnership. Today I'm going to probably echo a lot of what you've heard today. There seems to be some themes: opportunity and collaboration. And hopefully at the end of this panel, you'll see with the federal, state, and local government that you'll walk away with, we are the government and we are here to help. So for the next couple minutes, I'll talk a bit about the Greenbrier Valley economy, where we're at and why we think we're in a good place to accept the challenge of a new industry, and a little bit about what our organization does at the local level to welcome business in. So the Greenbrier Valley EDC is a regional economic development organization, and we were created by the state legislature. We exist to strengthen our economy through public and private investment, and it's all about facilitating job growth, but we also want to preserve our incredible sense of place. And we've been serving Greenbrier, Monroe, and Pocahontas County for 31 years. And clearly I have not been here for 31 years. But our work is about strengthening businesses here in the Valley, so we need to keep and grow the jobs we have. We want to support innovation and new ventures that further job growth. And we want to attract investment from the outside, which also brings jobs. So we're fortunate to have a partner in the WVSOM that's really embracing that all of the above approach. So they are expanding jobs, they are literally creating space for innovation, and they are laying the foundation for researchers and their businesses to make the Greenbrier Valley home. So our focus on businesses means that we work closely with communities and leaders to ensure that not only businesses, but our communities and our workforce is successful. So we have a pretty rich and diverse economy, and we're known primarily for our historic and fantastic resorts, and we're brimming with small town charm. The same things that bring millions of visitors through our region make us, particularly post-pandemic, a very enticing and beautiful place to live. I don't think anyone can argue about the beauty of our region. But I'm here to tell you that the Greenbrier Valley is much more than a pretty face. The presence of the O School, the expansion of the medical facilities in the region, including the Greenbrier Valley CAMC, make the health science and healthcare one of our top 3 employment industries. We are also home to an array of manufacturers, both international and homegrown, from Collins Aerospace, which is part of a RTX global company. They've been operating in some form in a pasture in Monroe County for 55 years. Another, Almost Heaven Saunas, started in 1977 in Rennick and is now owned by the Finnish company Harvia. From beverages to building products to textile equipment, we have a lot to be proud of. So the EDC supports industry through a formal BRE program, through events, through networking and partner programs. And we also rely on our businesses for that attraction piece, because when companies are coming into an area, they want to know what it's like. They want to hear that from businesses. And we have willing partners to give them very candid responses. And while the WVSOM is making waves in the research industry in the biotech, we have been doing research in the Valley for a long time. Aviagen Turkey, they are a giant in genetics and research. They provide breeding stock for more than 80% of the turkeys that we eat on Thanksgiving. And then, of course, we have the unparalleled Green Bank Telescope, is a world-class research facility that's giving us insight into the universe and tracking all those little green men. And of course, the WVSOM is now entering the space as well. Forestry and wood products, as well as ag, has been a heritage industry for the Valley. They've been a part of our economic fabric for probably longer than we've been a state. I know, for longer than we've been a state. We have more than 100 enterprises in this industry alone. And so this presence of workforce and resources prompted the Greenbrier Valley, in partnership with EcoStrat, to conduct a feasibility of sorts for development of bioproducts surrounding biomass and wood waste. And as a result, we are proud to be a biodevelopment opportunity zone. And we received a AA, which means we're pretty low risk, for bioproduct development. So we're the 4th in North America to receive this designation and the 1st in West Virginia. So even our heritage industries are ripe for innovation. So the EDC works with public and private entities to develop site-ready locations for business. Kelsey was talking about their database of sites. We work hard to make sure we have places on those databases, whether it's for expansions of companies or new developments, whether it's manufacturing wood products or pharmaceuticals. It all starts with a space. Speed to market is a buzz phrase, but it's important, and we are developing those locations to make it happen. So within our owned property, publicly owned by the Greenbrier Valley EDC, we support more than 100 employees and growing. So being site and business ready includes working with counties and communities and our regional planning and development councils on infrastructure, because we all know without that we would fall behind. But location is only part of the solution. It's really the collaborative nature of our organization and that of West Virginia as a whole that brings value to our businesses. We have workforce partners across the board, you've heard some of them mentioned today, that step up to provide specific and tailored support, from specialized training to second chance employment. We have so many programs that will upskill, reskill, bring down the cost of training. We have a lot of resources for our businesses and workforce. And we understand that in workforce, now part of that equation is the lack of housing. So we have worked to get 2 approved Build West Virginia designations, which cover most of the Greenbrier Valley region. And they provide incentives for housing developers. This is just the first step. Housing has really become a focal point of our workforce agenda. Similarly, we have partners, as mentioned, across the spectrum to support business development, finding that right financial product to support growth, and we have our own loan programs at the Greenbrier Valley EDC. So it's our pleasure to work with so many partners to bring the trainings, events, and overall support. We feel that collaboration means effective and efficient use of our government resources with the best results. So we serve as a connector and a facilitator, a liaison, and we are really well positioned, I think, with our partnerships to provide meaningful solutions tailored to each business as they come in. So it's not one thing that makes the Greenbrier Valley a great place to do business. It is the culmination of all these things. It's the way that our small state and region, that we work together. From infrastructure to workforce, we are willing to find local solutions. So in closing, this is one of my, okay, maybe not in closing. This is one of my favorite picks, and it's a good metaphor, I think, of where businesses may feel like when they start out in West Virginia, right? You have this beautiful, abundant path, all these resources in front of you, but you're not really sure where the hell you are, and there is a long road ahead of you, and you feel kind of alone. So the folks at this table are here to make sure that you can see the forest and the trees, and we're happy to be your navigation, even in areas that you don't have service. So that's what we do, and we can't wait to do it for you. And so thanks for the invitation to be part of this event, and we're so proud and so excited to see what's next. Thanks.